Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to a brand new segment we're going to call bBULLbreakdown. I'd like to welcome all the fans at Bulls Connect, which is the official online community for the Chicago Bulls, and we're going to break down Bulls games from the previous week. I'm going to start with the Sixers versus Bulls when Chicago had to visit Philadelphia. This was the game where Derrick Rose only had one assist, and they had to bench Carlos Boozer for the last 14 minutes of the game due to lack of effort.
The story of the game was Carlos Boozer's lack of effort. Watch how he doesn't run back hard as his man Derek Favors sprints the floor, leaving slow-footed Kurt Thomas to try and get back, which he can't do. The Bulls run the flex offense with a lot of cutting through the lane, so the passes have to be pretty good. Here, Boozer throws a pass behind Deng, which leads to a tough catch, and he misses the short shot. On the way back down, Boozer isn't going to hustle and try and get around Brook Lopez here, so when the ball goes up, he's in no position to get a rebound and they get a tip in. One of the reasons why Derrick Rose only had one assist in this game is because New Jersey scouted their plays and did their best to deny Rose whenever he tried to get the ball in the wing. The offense wasn't as smooth, however, they're able to get Bogans around for a three on this play. Rose didn't help himself out much. After this pass to the wing, he's just going to stand there and not move at all. Pretty easy to guard him when he does that. Coach Thibodeau yanked Carlos Boozer for the last 14 minutes of the game, primarily because of plays like this. There's no hustle here. And in the half-court defense, Boozer tries to hedge on Devin Harris's drive, but at some point he needs to commit back to his man and not just stand there for 3 seconds. And if he's not giving you anything on offense, he's really a liability. C.J. Watson played point guard down the stretch for them, and that relegated Derrick Rose to a two-guard, wandering around the weak side, not doing what he does best, and then missing him when he's open underneath the basket. He didn't get to attack and create shots for people like Kyle Korver. Derrick Rose was credited with only one assist, but look at this pass. Here, he gets an assist. They don't count it, though. I guess it's what happens when you're on the road. The final play tied game 11 seconds, and Avery Johnson runs a back screen for Brook Lopez. Very risky, low possibility for success, and in fact it doesn't work, but somehow Sasa Vujacic gets open for the putback. Vujacic was so bad all game that it's just pure luck that he happened to be there. The Bulls were victims of bad timeout management, so they had to run a play without the benefit of drawing anything up, and they can't get anything. That's all they can get is a three by Derrick Rose contested.
Game 2 is going to cover when the Bulls went to Philadelphia to play the Sixers. Pretty much everybody in the team contributed mightily to the loss. And there's definitely a lack of execution and a problem with hustle again. And if Boozer is not going to help you on the offensive end, he's a real liability overall. That said, Kurt Thomas also looks overweight and slow and old to me. And I know that Noah's not in, so he has to cover for him. But I would say Asik would be a lot better choice than Thomas at this point.
I know Coach Thibodeau stresses no middle on defense, so watch how Deng goes on the wrong side of the screen and then Carlos Boozer waves at the guy as he goes to the basket. And Kurt Thomas just isn't mobile enough to be able to get out and help on shooters. Utah fans have been trying to warn Bulls fans about Boozer's lack of defense. Look how he doesn't step up and help. Corey Brewer also doesn't focus on defense enough. Here he's walking around so that when he gets backdoored, it's a wide open layup. The Bulls run primarily flex offense where Boozer screens and then gets a screen himself, pops out for a wide open jumper. Kurt Thomas is a liability on offense. He likes to shoot an outside jumper from every now and then, but he needs to see that he has to cut to the basket so Boozer can feed him for a layup, not an 18-foot contested jump shot. Defensive discipline is a problem for the Bulls. Watch how Boozer flies by with no closeout and then Derrick Rose flies by with no closeout and they get a jumper at the buzzer. Luol Deng gets in the action with going to the basket and a terrible turnover. In transition, Derrick Rose picks up Meeks, but then inexplicably he runs away from him. He's already hit a couple threes and he chains another one on them. Here's Asik's defense. He's tough, he's got long arms, he can move. Here, Rand scores, but it's much better than what Thomas gives him. When you're on the road, be prepared for awful calls, like this illegal screen on Taj Gibson. And also when you're on the road, you need to execute. Watch these terrible ball screens by Gibson and Asik. They don't even touch the man, and then here comes Deng out of control, missing the shot. Defensive discipline again. C.J. Watson's going to reach behind and try for a steal instead of playing the position, forcing Gibson to come over to guard him. And that means Gibson's man's wide open for a beautiful alley-oop. And watch how bad Boozer is. He hedges on the wrong side. The guy gets right to the basket, gets the layup, and seals the game.
Thibodeau still can't be happy with Boozer's effort on defense. And let's just face it, Chicago fans, Boozer is not a very good defensive player. And I'm not even sure he knows why he's not a good defensive player. So you got to take his tremendous offensive game and hope that that can carry you. And a lot will change when Noah comes back and can cover for a lot of those errors. Next up was Boston versus Chicago, and this was a much better game for Chicago, although Bogans was not helping out too much, and neither was Kurt Thomas. When you win by 10 or 11 and you have a -3 in your plus minus, something is going on.
Bogans had to guard Ray Allen, and I certainly don't envy him. However, you have to be very disciplined to do that. Here he jumps by him instead of closing out. He gets beat for a layup even though it was a fumbled pass. And now he doesn't go find his man again, leaving him wide open in the corner. Watch how bad Bogans' effort is here. He doesn't sprint down the court while Ray Allen does, leaving Kurt Thomas to close out on him, and he gets a layup. Terrible. Opponents are going to pick on Kurt Thomas by screening with his man because he simply cannot hedge. It doesn't have the speed to stay with those players. That said, he does hustle and can get his hand on some balls and keep possessions alive. Here he tips it out and they get a dunk for Corey Brewer. Here's one of those plays where you wonder how Deng made it to the NBA. How could he lose Paul Pierce of all people, one of the best scorers in the NBA, on a backdoor cut like that? It's possible because of that bad defense they give him an offensive charge here. I have no idea because this is a terrible call. It was plays like these that kept Boston close in the fourth quarter. Rondo tries to give the game back with a stupid behind the back pass that gets away from him. However, he gets the ball back, and when you watch Kurt Thomas, this is the problem. He gets to the basket and Kurt Thomas can do nothing to stop him from scoring. Watch Shaq as he won't hedge to give Rose a wide open shot, and he buries it. It's a crucial possession for the Celtics, down 8 with 5.5 to go in the fourth. And instead of getting Ray Allen moving across the floor, they go to try and hit Shaq in the post. But watch how Kurt Thomas fights him, takes him out of position, and that leaves Big Baby taking a really bad fadeaway with no time on the shot clock. This time the Bulls let Rose have the ball and create off a pick and roll, and he pulls up for a really improved jump shot to ice the game.
So there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed our brand new B-Bull Breakdown segment. We'll be looking forward to doing that once a week, breaking down the Bulls games. So stay tuned for a lot more at bBULLbreakdown, at Heat Breakdown, and don't forget, it's not a channel, it's a conversation.